And that pig squeal means we're live. Isaac, welcome to ZLS, man. How you doing?
I am doing well. There's nothing better to start your day than a pig squeal. That's
Exactly. So
cool.
that's actually Cheddar. Jeff recorded it specifically for me. So that was great. Yeah. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm getting ready to go on vacation. So we got a long weekend coming up, which is fun. Our family's going to an Airbnb in the mountains, going to Nrwl Bridge State Park in Kentucky, do some hiking.
Nice, man.
See how long our boys will hike for. We went. They'll hike out with me, and then I'll be carrying both of them on my back on the way back. But that's the way it is.
How old are they?
They're 6 and 8.
Oh wow, that's a that's a heavy load.
Yeah.
Mine are my two girls are 5 and 3 right now, and they're a bit much to be holding both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, man, it's great to have you on. I was saying on Twitter, we're going to reprise the old Zach and Isaac code jams we used to do.
Yeah, those
were fun.
Yep. Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Hello, test. It says I have an internet. Hey, are you still there?
Hey, I'm here. Sorry, I'm pretty sure it's me.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's me. Apologies about that. Yeah, wow. I think the Twitch stream is messed up here. Let me see if I can fix this real quick. Okay, I think it's good now. Sorry, Isaac. Technical difficulties. But yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is I believe recently you did a webinar for NGConf,
yes.
NGConf Enterprise, maybe. So, yeah. What was all that about? I've got the link here. I'll post it in the comments if people want to check it out later.
Yeah, so I did a webinar with Yuri Strumpflohner, and we were just showing off how you can make smarter and faster Angular development with NX. That was the title. And so the smarter piece is how you can use leverage NX's dependency graph to get to isolate your code into separate libraries, have kind of an API for those specific libraries so you can more easily share your code with each other, and then have your and then you can also leverage schematics to automatically do configuration for tools like Cypress and Storybook and things like that. So that's the smarter piece. And then the faster piece is using NX affected, which will let you run tasks just on the specific code that was changed by a particular PR and not your whole code base. And then the computation caching, which says, hey, if nothing's changed, I don't actually need to do this task at all, and I'll just load the results from the cache. So that's the smarter and faster. So I just saved you an hour of watching the webinar. You can just listen to that 30 seconds.
Awesome. Did you get into like any backend stuff too in your talk here, or was this only on Angular?
This was just Angular because it was for the NG Enterprise. But yeah, the NX is technology agnostic. Anything JavaScript or TypeScript works great. Other languages you have to do a little extra hand holding, but that can still work too.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. As people from ZLS know, I really love NX. So I don't think I'd ever do a project definitely not one with Angular without using NX. So.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I don't think I would do any front end stuff without NX.
Yeah. Well, one of my biggest things with NX is being able to have a workspace with both the front end and the back end in the same project, because there's just so many benefits you can get from that. Like, if nothing else, just being able to like release off of one commit on both the front and the back end. I've run projects before where I had different repos for front and back end, and man, Oh, keeping all that stuff in sync is hard.
Yeah, I mean, I did at my last job. We had a Swagger API that kind of helped to keep that in sync, and I had at first it was like you just kind of guessed if anything had changed. You'd have to ask the two backend engineers, hey, have you changed this API call at all since the last time? I don't know, maybe. You just try it every time, and then I put in a script that would regenerate the Swagger API docs and then build the types for their front end app based on whatever Swagger told it. But that was still a manual process, and I had to do it every time, and just to make sure, hey, has anything changed? Am I breaking anything? So there would be a lag between when the backend got updated and when my script was run. But if you do it in a monorepo, it just happens at the same time, the same instant they put in their API change, it's there, and it'll either break the front end code or it won't.
Yeah. The generated like types from like a Swagger API is like, it's definitely better than nothing, but it's definitely you go in a magnitude order of magnitude better, I think, when you go to like, oh, this is actually the shared interface that the backend's using as well. Yeah, so.
Right. At this very instant, at this snapshot of code, we know that these are the types.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we were going to look at some stuff for NX. I think you said you had seen someone posted a plugin that's going to help you automatically generate protractor code or automatically migrate protractor to Cypress.
So one of the things that NX gives you is it helps you configure modern tooling. And so we talked about kind of the modern Angular initiative is migrating using Jest instead of Karma, using Cypress instead of Protractor, and using ESLint instead of TSLint. So I was working on trying to figure out how do we help people who currently have Protractor end-to-end tests. How do we help them move over to Cypress end-to-end tests? And so I found this tool that I haven't even tried yet, but if it works, it'll be great. So we can find out together if it works. And basically the selling point is that it'll help you. It's sort of a schematic to automatically change your Protractor configuration to Cypress configuration. So that would be exciting if that worked out.
Cool. Are we going to be brave and try it?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. You want to share your screen, and I can put it up on the screen here.
Let me find there's a screen share. Yes. Okay. And then let me share. All right, I'm going to share this window here. Let's see, how does that look? Let's make that. Okay, how does that look in terms of font size?
Looking pretty good. I can read it for sure. I see Jason in the Git blames there. That's always nice.
Yes, it's all his fault. If anything goes wrong with this demo, it's Jason's fault.
Well, if anything goes right, it's also Jason's fault too. So.
Oh, okay, sure, good. So what I did is I started from the NX examples GitHub repo, and I just generated an application here, and I set the test runner to Protractor.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's what it is. That's why there's 31 files changed here.
Okay. So we created that My Awesome app right there.
Yeah, I created My Awesome app, and let's see if we can. Let me make sure that. Come on. Let me make sure that our dependencies are up to date. Okay, that's good. And let's try. This is not only live coding, it's live coding without having rehearsed ahead of time. So this will be amazing if it works.
That's the kind of risk we take on ZLS.
That's right.
Nothing risk, nothing gained, man.
Okay, so it launched a browser, but then it threw up an error. Can't compile TypeScript. Let's see. cannot read tsconfig.json. Why can I not read that file?
Is that not a file?
It doesn't exist. That is why. Okay. So let's see where it's looking for tsconfig.json. That's where.
There it is. So we just need to set that to base. Yeah.
Let's try that. Let's try
it.
Let's run this again.
While we're running it, check out everyone the awesome NX plugin for VS Code. This is how Isaac's able to run this also fast without having memorized the CLI commands.
Yeah, so NX console. Okay, so we got a new error. This is a good sign.
Nice.
Can't read property pretty of undefined.
That's new.
Stack trace option dot pretty. Okay.
Enums.
Well, I don't think we need that.
Nice. Hopefully that spec could just be an empty object.
Yep. Well, it's saying display stack trace. We don't need a stack trace. Everything is going to work perfectly the first time. Hey, look.
There we go.
It worked perfectly the first time.
Is this so? This is in headless, I'm guessing, correct?
Yeah. So let's see if let's see. Can we run this? Let me find the command here. I'm going to run this in watch mode. Is that going to work for Protractor? So this is where everyone learns that I don't know very much about Protractor.
I don't either. I'm afraid I know a little bit, but I always just try to translate what I know about Cypress into Protractor.
Okay. Well, we know this worked. You didn't see it on the screen share, but a browser did pop up, and then when it ran successfully, it showed this message in the console. So that's working. So let's look at what the files are here. So we have this spec file here. It's going to navigate to this page. Page is new app page, which is defined here. So it's going to base URL.
So we've got like a page object here with just some instructions how to do stuff on our, I guess this is an app page.
Yeah, so it's going to the page and it's getting the title. And so these are like helper functions here. Navigate to and get title text.
And I'm guessing we're going to use them in our spec here.
Yeah, so here in the spec, we're going to the page and then we're expecting the title text to be this generated text.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we've succeeded in setting up Protractor to work. Now, let's see, how do I share a different screen? Stop screen. I'm going to share my browser here. And okay. So this is the tool that I found. NX Protractor to Cypress.
Looks promising.
Yep. So it's supposed to work in an NX workspace. So we're going to copy that command. And I'm going to go back to not sharing anymore. Inception.
There you go.
And we'll go back to our window here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do.
This will be cool too because we can add this, I think, and we should be able to see it in the NX plugin now too, right?
Yeah, it should. Yeah, in the NX console, yeah, it should. Yeah. It should pick it up. I may need to do the reload window command in VS Code here.
Makes sense.
All right, let me quickly commit this. Added my awesome app. So this is going to show up on a PR for Jason to merge in later. I hope he doesn't mind.
We can make our own branch. Well, while this is running too, let me throw in the comments because I learned something new today. So we have a canonical NX example app that Jason maintains that runs. I think it's got Angular and it's got React in it.
Yep.
And it's just a little. I think it's like a little just a cart and book app. So you can the idea would be like a little e-commerce app. So but its main purpose is to just serve as an example for anyone who wants to check it out. So it's a great resource if you're looking for like a starting point or just wanting to poke around in NX a little bit.
I was going to show you the dependency graph, but I realized that I would have to stop sharing screen again, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. It opens up in a new window. Darn it.
Yes.
But yes, the dependency graph is super cool. So cool. Can we see if the new? Oh, is it still going?
Okay. So installed packages via Yarn. Okay. So it installed it. All right. So this is. So it adds it. It's supposed to create Cypress files, delete protractor files. Okay, what does it do?
Well, I'm wondering if it scanned like our NX workspace and tried to run it for all of our end-to-end.
Yeah, I think it did. So let's see if it provides some schematics here that are that let you pick a particular app to do it against. Let's see if we have some schematics here. Next project. There we go.
There it is.
So we've got two different schematics, and let's see. Let's just look at them.
Yeah.
Name a directory where the project is placed.
NX console super good for this kind of discoverability too. By the way, in my opinion.
Let's check out the other one. The other one is.
I think they're the same one, are they not? Just different aliases of it. One with dashes and one without.
NX protractor to Cypress, and one is okay. All right, what do we think it is? Let's try.
So I'm guessing we would enter in like my awesome app ETE as the name, and maybe it could figure it out.
Okay, let's try.
My best guess. Maybe we should look at the documentation for the plugin, though. I don't know.
Okay, so that failed.
Oh, I think it's maybe going and doing it regardless.
Maybe it's ignoring whatever is in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's look and see what it does. So here we go. We are diving into it's at Offerings Solutions, I believe.
Yep. That's right.
There it is. Okay, so this is how a schematic works. So you go to the root of the file here of the node modules here, and you look for a collections. Well, in the package.json, it specifies where the schematics are located, and we find it's in the collection.json. Most schematics are going to be defined in a collection.json because that's the canonical place to put it. And okay, so now we have ng-add set up here, which that runs when you use the ng-add command. And it looks like this is just running. So they're all pointing to the same exact spot.
Yeah. So when we ran the add there, Isaac, I believe we were trying. We essentially ran or attempted to run the schematic, right?
Yep. Cool. When we added it. Okay. So let's see what the schematic is trying to do. I
wonder the builders directory there wouldn't have anything interesting in it, would it?
I doubt it, but let's see what the
sure.
The builders are defined here. Well, I mean, we can see what it does. Actually, we'd have to set it up in our Angular.json. I mean, the builders is just going to, looks like all it does is log something out. So
Gotcha.
that's just a default builder to get people started.
Makes sense.
Okay, so schematic is going to run that, and actions is loaded from /actions, which is here. Run nx protractor to Cypress, so which is this. So it's going to get the Angular workspace, get rules for projects, get rules for workspace root. So it does that. So this is under project actions, which is here. Okay, so what is it going to do? It's going to, let's get rules for projects. So it's going to run this first. So it's trying to create Cypress files, delete protractor files, and then do more configuration setups here. But so we could dig into this more. I think this is going past the point of interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But if this would work, this would be very, very useful. And so maybe I'll dig into this and help out. I think it's Fabian Gosbrink. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I've seen him around on Twitter and places like that.
Nice. Shout out to Fabian.
Yeah, shout out. And this is a really cool project. If we can, if we figure out what's going on here. Give it back.
Yeah, being able to automatically migrate all protractor stuff immediately to Cypress, that would be huge. So
well, let's go back to doing it manually. So this is what we would do if we were going to do it manually. So I would go into here, and I would generate. I would go into Cypress. It looks like we don't have a publicly accessible Cypress schematic. So what I'll do is I will create another app, an Angular application, and this time.
So this time we're creating a new application, but we're going to be doing it with the Cypress end-to-end test runner instead of the protractor.
Right. Yep, I'm going to do it with a Cypress end-to-end test runner here. And I will run it like this. So I'm calling it delete this app because I'm just going to copy out the config files out of here and see if that works. All right. So let's see. So a few places in here we'll need to change what that text is, but we will take this. Let's just try this. If we take the cypress.json, all of that stuff, and we move it into my awesome app. Let's move that over, replace. Okay, that worked. And then that source. Let's rename this source folder to source protractor. And then we'll copy over that source file. Okay, that works.
Nice.
Okay, so that we can just delete now. Actually, is there a delete command or remove?
There is an RM. Yeah.
Remove, delete this app. ETE.
We already deleted it.
Yeah,
oh no.
Let me here, I'll do this. Delete this app E2E. Put that back in.
See if that all works. If this doesn't, I almost wonder, since you made a commit right before we did this, if you could just like undo some of the stuff in the Git history. That might be an option too.
Yeah, I could undo some of it. Yeah, that would probably work. Come on. Yeah,
cool.
Looks like it worked. Let's try that.
Awesome. And
then we'll delete this app.
Yeah. So for anyone who's maybe unfamiliar with the NX console, what the way it's going to work is inside of this form that Isaac's working in. On changes, whenever you change something around in the form, that terminal that was underneath where we were looking at the form, it's going to run the dry run. That's how we were able to tell, oh, it worked, because we were watching the dry run and seeing, oh, it actually deleted the stuff and updated our Angular JSON, our NX JSON, our TS config, all those things that had references to that project is all cleaned up now. And that's all thanks to Johanna and the awesome work she did with like move and remove schematics. So thank you.
Those are really cool. But I realized after I actually removed it, I probably didn't want to remove it yet because I needed to copy things out of the angular.json. But I will find a different Cypress instance here that I can just copy.
Yeah. So with the My Awesome project, I imagine if we look at its architect E2E builder, it's using the protractor one provided by Angular.
Right.
And we're going to want to like.
I'm going to copy this one from products here, and then I'm going to look for the My Awesome app. E2E, there it is.
Yep. And there we can see it's using the protractor builder right now.
Yep.
So we'll just replace that.
We'll get rid of that. So apps, we want this to be My Awesome app here. So copy that. Replace products. I think that should be it.
Awesome.
So that, get rid of that. My Awesome app serve, that's right. And
beautiful.
Right. That's good. Now we can actually delete this app. That should, because there's nothing about Cypress in here. Right. So anyway, having a schematic take care of all this for you would be pretty handy.
For sure. Now we can remove the other app, not the E2E one, but the actual run. There you go.
If it works, good.
Woohoo. It's so nice having the schematic for this.
Yeah.
Before, I would always forget something, man. It would be like there's something in your NX JSON file that doesn't exist anymore, and like NX kind of shuts down when that happens. So it's really nice to have this.
Okay, so now let's. So we've got these files. This protractor.config we don't need this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I think we need some Cypress config. Or is that all in the Cypress.json file?
The Cypress.json is there. We've got delete this app in here, which needs to be My Awesome app. That's good. I think it needs to be changed in there. That should be good. That should be good. So let's delete this. And then
get it out of here.
Yep. Now we need to check this and compare it with the, let's see, where would that be? app.po.ts is here. So here we have a get greeting.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of these things, we would put them in here.
Yeah. So I think the way Cypress is kind of set up, Cypress is going to use just helper functions, whereas Protractor kind of wants you to set up the class for it.
Right. So
personally, I prefer the Cypress way.
Right. So we would do navigate to equals sci.get. Let's see what it'd be. Sci dot. Stop it. I don't want crypto.
Yeah. What are you doing with crypto, Isaac? What's going on?
Trying to steal your wallet, your crypto wallet money. Sci.visit. And I think we just do that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do export const. Title text. Come on. VS Code, you're not being helpful.
Well, I wonder, Isaac, if this is a symptom of what we've got, have we not added side to the namespace of our project yet?
Oh, could be. Side dot. We want side dot contains. Yes, you're right. GSLint, GSconfig. But it's there. We just haven't restarted the TypeScript server. I bet that would help us. I bet that will solve it. There we go.
Cool.
Side contains that and is contains. I don't think it's contains. What is it?
I think it's going to look for like some actual text on the screen.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want the text. Get text. Well, wait. I'm not sure what this is trying to do here. Why is it doing .get text here?
So what the protractor one was doing, I think, was retrieving what that title text was, and I think their spec file was probably checking it to make
returning that. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't completely do that one-to-one, but we'll we'll just have that be side.get. We'll have it be get title element, and we'll do it like that. That's fine. Okay, so that's what that would be, and then our spec file would be. We would have this be. So it's the same thing as this. We'll have it should display welcome message, and so that's the same thing. We'll do navigate to, that title doesn't make a lot of sense. Navigate to base.
There we go.
Navigate to base. And I want to do get title element dot contains.
And then we'll welcome to my awesome app.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. Now we cross our fingers.
There's probably, I feel like there's something we're forgetting still, but I don't know what it would be.
All right. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's do this and run that E to E. It's compiling. The tension is building.
I know.
What will happen? It's verifying Cypress.
Oh, is this an older version of Cypress?
No, I just haven't run Cypress in a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Cypress has opened.
Okay. Well, we can't see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's running.
Hey!
We did it.
Look at that. Look at that. Perfect.
ZLS, the only place where you can see live migration from protractor.
So all you need to migrate your protractor end-to-end test to Cypress is to have me come and do it for you.
Exactly. Well, I mean, if you replayed through the steps we did in terms of like generating, like we ultimately used some NX schematics to generate the Cypress config and all that stuff for us, and we had to switch that around a little bit. And maybe this is something we could bring to like the NX core team about. This might be nice for generating some new Cypress stuff to an existing project. No, but that stuff notwithstanding, after that it was just like kind of the unfortunate. I don't think we can do anything but do like a more manual process with actually changing over the spec files and the page objects to
yeah, those you'd have to actually know what you're doing there because it's your own code. But
Yeah, some wizard, I think, with abstract syntax trees and really good knowledge of both the APIs could maybe do something, but that's not worth trying. I am not that man or that person. So
I mean,
cool.
I think so this is great, and it's good to learn how to migrate these things. But I think the not very hidden secret is that people don't really actually have end-to-end tests anyway. So if you're trying to migrate over to Cypress, you're just starting from scratch regardless.
Well, so when I started the ZLS stuff, Isaac, I was just doing live coding by myself for a long time.
Yep.
I would actually go through and start by writing an end-to-end test it was a social media app, and it had a back end and a front end. And we'd actually like write the different steps. Like I think we went through authorization and adding like a social media post, like a tweet almost to a feed, making sure that all worked properly. So
yeah, I mean, I think Cypress works really well for that. I doubt unless there's some like mandate from somewhere, I don't think anyone is willingly setting up protractor end-to-end tests.
Yeah, well, like we saw, I don't think there's like a watch mode for that, so it's hard. Like the really cool thing I think about working with Cypress like that was I wouldn't serve the app by itself. I just run Cypress, and then I kind of live in Cypress as my workflow and see, okay, did I get a check yet? And you'd actually see as you're going through and adding the different features, you'd see, okay, I got 3 steps closer this time.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, that's really cool.
And you can see actually what actually happened. Like you see the visual of like, oh, this button didn't render or whatever it is.
Well, and so when you're writing unit tests for like components too, I feel like you have the wrong mindset. Like it actively encourages you to pursue the wrong mindset in terms of thinking, okay, what's the API of how this stuff is all going to go? Right. But when you write the Cypress test, I feel like you're actively putting yourself in the correct mindset, which is like, how is the user experiencing this? What should happen? So
yeah,
I'm really big on that. I will fight. It's a hill I will fight on. Maybe die on. I don't know. Probably not die on.
That is a hill I will walk up at least, as long as no one is like stopping me or waving pointy objects. I'm
kind of family, you know. I can't be dying for a hill. I don't own that hill.
That's right.
Up and every now and then.
I will trade harsh words over this.
I will trade harsh words. Exactly. Well, that was awesome, Isaac. Thanks for doing that. That was really cool. I did want to talk to you a little bit about, your when I have guests on, I really like to get sort of their story in tech. So if you're cool with that, I'd love to.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had talked the other day together, and you had mentioned kind of getting started in QA.
Yeah.
Which I hear that with a lot of people. So, yeah.
Well, let's see. So I went to school. I got a computer science. I was a computer science major and a math minor. And then I actually I went to graduate school to do math education. So I graduated with a math education degree. And then I had the choice to go teach math at middle school or high school and spend lots of hours working really hard on something and get very little pay for it. Or I could be a programmer and get better pay and do something that was easier for me, at least. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, well, okay. I mean, I like teaching, I like math, but we'll do computer science instead. So I got a job as QA for a company, and that was fun. I took it as like a challenge to try to find more bugs like faster than the developers could fix them. So like, I'm like, okay, I'm coming in today and I'm going to see how much I can find. So that was fun. It was like a puzzle game kind of thing.
That's awesome.
But then after, I don't know, 6 months or so, this company had a web app, and it was a very like minimal web app. And I looked at it and I said, this looks awful. It's like orange text on white, and like it was just really, really hideous. And so I'm like, okay, I can fix this. I can make this at least look decent. And so I did. I fixed up the CSS to make it, actually readable and have some spacing and things like that. And then once I started doing that, like no one else was really maintaining it. That's why it was in such a bad condition, because no one was actually spending any effort on it. And they said, okay, well, if you want to do more on that, you're welcome to. It's like, okay, great. So I started, I used something called Google Web Toolkit to turn that into, which is like so the rest of the company, they were all Java programmers. And so Google Web Toolkit takes Java code and compiles it into JavaScript. It's dead now, like a lot of Google products. But yeah, I was like, okay, this might be maintainable by other people because they're Java programmers. And so I did that, and so I eventually migrated over from QA into programming. Then after that job, I worked at kind of like an ad agency where I spent most of my time doing HTML and CSS and just a little sprinkling of JavaScript, because we would have projects that would be like last a month or so, or 2 months, and I would be the only programmer on it. But I have to get these like 3 pages up and running for this particular project, and then they'd run they'd be used for, I don't know, like a month or 2, and then not updated ever again. So the main focus is make sure it looked right for that time. There's lots of like that was really fun, because there were like 3 or 4 designers that would give me designs that I was trying to make the website look like what they've mocked up. So that was really cool, to make really beautiful things without me needing to know how to actually do the design work.
That's cool.
So that was really cool. And then eventually we got some projects where they were wanting us to do some complicated forms, and where like you fill in this form and this other form updates based on what you've entered in there. And that's
my
where
eyes are lighting up right now, Isaac.
Right, I know. But that's where I got into AngularJS. I'm like, okay. I know this is going to be a nightmare with me trying to track every time this changes. And so like, okay, I need some helper to get me, make sure this is all set the way it's supposed to be. And that's where I was like, oh, two-way data binding, that's exciting. And
and also dangerous.
Well, that's a 4-letter word now, but back then it was great.
Yeah. Well, I remember a hill I fought for several years ago was like, no, you definitely want to go with two-way data binding and the banana in a box, because it's so much simpler. Like, okay, you can't do maybe as much, or maybe you lose track of the events, but it's simpler. Like, simple is good.
Well, and for those particular applications that I was working on, they were not complicated, and the two-way data binding was perfect for that scenario, because I just needed to have these 10 different form fields to be in sync with each other. And if that happens automatically, then that's solving me from hunting down 30 different possible bugs that could go wrong with it.
Yeah. Mike Ryan on one of Brandon's shows said recently, actually, he really likes the two-way data binding still for forms. He thinks it works fairly well. So I can see that for sure. Loving RxJS like I do, though. I always go to reactive now, and I feel like, for me at least, it's just as easy. So, but it's definitely there's a lot of weird things about it, like value changes doesn't do quite what you think it does. So, or what you would initially expect it does. But
right. I mean, all the complexity comes when you start to have multiple areas of the application that depend on each other in unexpected ways and things like that. Yeah.
When those chain of events actually matters. That's where you kind of need to step away from two-way data binding, because if the chain of that events matters, all you have that you could hook into really is like the do check hook to see, did this change or how did it change? Yeah. And I did a whole app once. I was like using two-way data binding and like making everything reactive. I should do it in the do check hook.
Okay.
did something change here, and it was reactive and it felt great, but I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of code. It was a lot of
Yeah, I mean, by the time I got to Angular, like out of AngularJS, I had learned, okay, so people are saying two-way data binding is bad. Let's do one way. I'm like, okay, we can do that. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when I moved on from that ad agency job to like a focused, like I'm going to be working on Angular 100% of my time. And
AngularJS or Angular?
It's the first few months was AngularJS,
Okay.
but it was quickly, that was 2016. And we were starting on a new project and it wasn't going to be out for another year, maybe. And so the Angular 2 beta was already out. And so we said, hey, if it's not going to come out for another year, let's go with Angular 2 and start from scratch there rather than starting from scratch in AngularJS.
So right there is where I get started. And so I start with TypeScript and all this stuff. And I remember everyone losing their minds over why do I have to use TypeScript? Did you have a similar experience with that, or did you welcome it?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I remember it was me and another guy who were like, we were just digging into this project together, and it was really a lot of fun. That was the first time that I experienced having someone else that I could bounce ideas off of, and he was coding as fast as I was, and we were just, I would say, okay, why did you code it this way? What were you thinking here? And he would, correct things that I had done, and it was just a lot of fun and a lot of like I remember, like, it was like 2 months of intensive like digging in and learning things, which I really enjoyed. So I was learning TypeScript, learning RxJS, learning all the new, like, Angular was changing out from under you all the time at that point because it was beta days.
There's something definitely fun about that. I had a very similar experience with a coworker of mine, James. He's sometimes lurking in the comment or in the comment section here. But yeah, it felt like there was this cool feedback loop that was going on where he'd learn something. I'd be like, oh, this is so cool. And then I'd use that and I'd learn something new and share it with him. And it just kept kind of spiraling that way. It was a real nice environment to work in. Very dynamic. So.
Yeah, I mean, luckily also that there was not a lot of time pressure on that in that company. So I was able to just focus on learning and have that be my main job, And we were making the app better and closer to being done while we were learning, but it wasn't. Yeah, it can be intense if you're like trying to get a feature done and also trying to learn how this new application works, the new framework works. And so I guess around that time, I was also, I started blogging a little bit. I started putting out the advanced Angular component patterns, so that I saw Kent C. Dodds. He had a React Advanced Component Patterns series of blog posts, and I said, okay, well, this is interesting, and I don't think there's anything in here that can't be done in Angular. So I was like, okay, well, I need to actually check and see if that's true. So I just said, okay, I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to try and take these ideas. I'm going to delineate exactly what this is trying to solve and solve those same problems in an Angular context with Angular code and write about it. And so I did that. And then the people from Egghead saw those like 10 blog posts. And actually, no, Max. First, it was Max from Angular in Depth reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you host these blog posts on Angular in Depth?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." Yeah. And so then people started seeing it even more there, and then Egghead saw it and said, "Okay, well, can you do some video courses using a video course using this content?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure, that sounds great." And so that was in 2018. 2018, like fall of 2018, I did my first conference talk, and that course was released. I had actually. Which conference was it? It was the Framework Summit.
Okay.
Which I think only happened one time. I still think it would be a cool idea to actually to have it happen, but I I reached out to Kent C. Dodds actually and said, hey, would you be willing to do a conference talk with me? I want to talk about these patterns that we've talked about and show how, hey, we can do them all in Angular and React and Vue. And so he agreed, and we got Divya Sasidaran to join us. And so she's big into Vue.
Okay.
She works at Netlify now, I think. And,
so kind of like dual and banjos, you used all the same patterns, but in the different framework.
Yeah. So we did. It's called a render prop by any other name is the name of the talk.
Nice.
And so we did render props, which is like the ng template in Angular, and I think it's like slots or something in Vue, something like that.
Okay.
So basically, the idea of transclusion in all three frameworks. We did providing provide context and providers, which can be done with Angular dependency injection. Like how do you skip all the like passing inputs down multiple components, just provide at the top layer and have something, three levels down, use that value. You can also do that with services in Angular. And then there was a third pattern that we did. But we just showed the code for how do you do this in all these different frameworks. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's
and then,
awesome.
And then that was, I think that was one of the things that got me this Nrwl job, which is great. Nice. So now I'm all the time I'm working with people who are I get that same experience of I'm working on something and bouncing ideas off of other people who are also excited about the code and excited about making things better.
Yeah. Well, getting to bounce between companies here too at Nrwl is kind of neat, being able to see how they work, what kind of problems they're having. Definitely feels like a really good place to be, just in terms of getting a good view of everything going on. Well, let me ask you this, because we had Aaron Frost on recently, and he did the same thing as you, where he went from QA to being a developer. And he said, like, it was like some switch got turned on in his head, because I think he described a lot like what you were saying. Like, he took it as a challenge to go find all the bugs that the developers were making. And he said, oh man, these guys are missing so much stuff. But then as soon as he went to the other side of the table, it was him putting all the bugs into code. Do you feel like you kind of lost something when you went over too, or?
No, I don't think so. I think that's part of human nature. You don't see the bugs that you create. Like, you just can't. You're focused on putting output, like creating something and putting it out there. And it's a very different mindset. Like the QA mindset, you're in like polishing mode and defect finding, whereas when you're creating it, you're in like producing mode and you're making sure, okay, is this thing like if you're like making furniture or something, like the developer is somebody they're making sure it's stable, they're making sure it's it's going to hold things up, they're making sure that it's actually looks like a table. But then the QA person is going to come by and say, okay, like there's this unsanded part here that's going to give somebody splinters. There's you didn't think about what would happen if somebody actually ran into the table from the side. It's going to topple over that way or whatever. And so you need to have somebody else look at your code. Otherwise or have a computer at least look at your code. Otherwise you're going to miss things. Yeah.
At my old office, right outside the QA's people's room, they had this little comic that was just like a mirror of two people working at a computer, with one having the thought bubble, like, how can I make this? And the person on the other side of the mirror doing the same thing, but how can I break this?
Yeah.
And I always thought that was perfect. Just coming at it from a different angle. So, cool. I got another question for you here, Isaac.
Okay, I'm ready.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? I will eat both. I'll take hot dogs. I take sandwiches.
But it's like a typological question. Does a hot dog belong to the sandwich family?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
That's a hill I don't care about.
You don't care about. Nice. Well, let's see. What else can we talk about? So one thing, Isaac, I've mentioned to you before. One thing I admire about you a lot is how protective you are over your time, and still how you're able to. It feels like by being so, you make yourself more effective and more efficient with the time you do have. That's something I've been struggling with a lot recently, and just trying to get different people's thoughts on the matter. So I think I mentioned to you personally too. I feel like in order to get more stuff done right now, I feel like all I can do is like throw more time onto the fire. I want to figure out ways of going around that. So
yeah,
I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that?
So I guess I never have the goal of getting more stuff done. So that's part of it. Like if you want to be able to be relaxed and enjoy life, at least for me, like I can't be relaxed and enjoy life if I'm trying to go for quantity of what I get done. So what I do is I'm gonna limit myself to the number of hours that I have in the day for like my work hours. And I know that I'm going to go home. I stop work at 4:30. I'm in here by 8:30 and I'm done by 4:30, and that's it. And by doing that, I say, okay, because I have this limited time, I have to focus on whatever the most important thing is at this moment. And so I try to say, okay, I'm going to work on this, and it has to be something that's going to, help other people, or it's going to prevent like dramatic things from happening in the future. And if I keep doing that, if I keep focusing on the thing that's going to be, do 80% of the results with 20% of the effort, then it's going to go well. And yeah, so that's what I try to do. It's worked fairly well so far, I think.
Yeah. No, I think you've accomplished a whole lot, which is interesting if your goal's never been to accomplish that much. But
I mean, I focus on like one thing at a time. So it's like when I was doing those the advanced Angular components patterns, I did those blog posts, and then so I would do. So I would come into work an hour early, and I would focus on writing out those blog posts. But I wasn't doing anything else on the side during that time. I wasn't doing podcasts. I wasn't like, I was on Twitter, but I was not tweeting anything. I just listened to and so that was my project for that time. And then when people asked me to do the video course, I stopped writing completely. I wasn't doing blog posts at all anymore. And then I was just doing those video courses based on the blog post. And then like there are other things that I do, and that go through periods of time. And I'm very much okay with dropping things that I used to be doing and moving on to the next thing. Yeah,
that's cool. I feel like I definitely could use some work on that, like that laser focus. I feel like you're describing there.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't like it. Like if there's something that I was working on, and like I was depending on that, or I was like, why don't you write more? And like, it would be nice to write more. Like I like the Angular in-depth community, the in-depth.dev community. They there's really good writers there. They provide lots of cool content, and it would be nice to also put up more blog posts on there. But that's never on my top 2 or 3 list of priority things, and I don't think it will be anytime soon. But I mean, if it did come up there, then I'd work on it. But it's not going to. Makes
sense.
Yeah.
By the way, hi Ravshan. Thanks for stopping by again. Nice to see you. Isaac, so maybe maybe this is a good question. What do you see as your like number 1 and number 2 top priorities right now?
So I guess one thing that I always like, one of the things that I really liked about joining Nrwl is that they're a remote work company, and so it lets me do family stuff when I need to. So that's my number one priority. I want to be able to do my 40 hours and even shuffle those 40 hours around some if I need to, and still like have that family focused time and not have my work time bleed over into family time. So that's my number one priority. And then number two, in terms of like work focus, like I don't know, my work focus is always on. It's usually on like helping other people be successful. Like what can I do that is going to make other people productive, or like make Nrwl make people able to use NX. That's part of what I think. That's probably why I landed on the docs, like NX.dev doc content creation, because that's something that, you know, if the docs are good, then people can actually use NX. They can find answers to their problems, and they can. You know, and then, you know, people are happy with Nrwl in general. So it's, you know, I spend 30 minutes explaining something by writing it down, and then that gets multiplied.
Yeah. So you explained it once, but if we can capture it and put it at scale by putting it into the docs, you had this one tweet I think that went viral a while ago, right, Isaac? That was like, how did it go again? Do you
I don't remember exactly.
It was something like build it, then document it, then share it, then publish it, or something like that.
Yeah, something like building something, automating it, documenting it, something like that. Yeah, just the basic idea of like, you know, you do something, and then you each step is making it more reproducible, more scalable, I guess. And then you repeat the cycle.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Rob Sheds mentions he's really impressed by the talk you gave on unit tests. So, yeah. Can you see the comment there on the screen?
Yeah, I see it. I'm trying to think of a talk that I gave about unit tests. Let's see.
Was this when we were at Cisco together, maybe?
Could be. I don't remember a unit test talk, though. I've talked about so I guess there's delay. So before be a while before he's able to.
Yeah. So you had talked about Jest.
Okay. So I mean, I like Jest. Jest is a nice improvement over Karma. I'm not remembering that specific talk, but I've given some trainings.
Cool. Well, yeah. It's awesome. Isaac, thanks for stopping by and for sharing all about your stuff. I really feel like you've kind of got stuff figured out in some ways. So I really appreciate you coming by and sharing some of that with me and sharing that with the rest of the community. So
awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. And thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for everyone in the comments. Rob Shen, hope you have a great weekend. Isaac, hope you have a great weekend as well, and a great long weekend, a great vacation.
Yes.
And we'll see you all next week on ZLS.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye.